Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 1 of the Minecrafters Bee Breeding Tutorial. In this tutorial series, we're going to find out everything that you wanted to know about bees, and probably more than anyone ever should know about a bee inside of a game. But they're fun, so we are going to learn about them. Just as a little background information, I am going to be playing in Minecraft version 1.5, and this is FTB Unleashed. So we're going to have some features in here that maybe you haven't seen before, but we are going to go over a ton. What we're going to do is we're going to start at the basics, and we are going to work up to breeding some absolutely mega bees that will output some awesome stuff. But we'll get into that a little bit later, and we'll visit the bee castle in just a little bit. Right now we have nothing, and we're out in the world, and we've seen some beehives. Now, if you want to look for some beehives, and if you want to just start out with bees, it's likely that you've probably come across some of these hives in the wild. But if you are specifically going out on a mission to find some of these, pull up your big map. You can see on my map, let me make it nighttime here. You can see in my map that there's a bunch of little lights all around, and there's a lot of them in the snowy area, and there's a couple in the grassy areas there, and those are hives. And you can tell they're hives because the hives give off a little bit of light. So a really good way to find hives is to zoom out all the way in your map and to just check around, because you're not going to really be able to fly in most cases when you're just starting out with bees. There's a bunch of different hives that can spawn in the wild. Originally there was only 11, but a bunch were added with the extra bees and magic bees mod, and they are all here. The forest and meadows hives are going to be the ones that we are going to be using, and you can see that the forest drone looks like that, and the meadows drone looks like that. But there's all these other combs, or these, see the tooltip's wrong up there. There's all these other hives, and there's some new ones like the Resonating Hive, Unusual Hive, and Curious Hive that have been added to the game. Get as many of these as you possibly can. But wait, Captain, how do you get the bees? Good point. The first thing that you are going to want to do in your quest for bee greatness is to craft a scoop. And the scoop can be crafted with a bunch of sticks and a piece of wool in the middle there. We'll grab one of these out and we'll get going. These have a very, very low durability. So you're probably going to want to grab a couple of these at the very least if you plan on going out on a decent sized adventure. They just don't last long at all. There is a Somnium Scoop, which you can make with Thaumcraft, and that lasts a lot longer. There it is right there. I'll just tell you about it. We won't go into it or how to make it, because for some people that's cheating. Anyways, once you have your scoop, you're going to want to go over to a hive, and you're going to want to scoop the bees out. Now, if you hit this just like this, it's going to break the hive, and you're not going to get any bees. So you're definitely going to want to have this scoop. So if we go ahead and right-click on here, a couple things pop out. First of all, we get a princess, and we get a drone, and we get a honeycomb too, and that's awesome. So let's try the next one here. There we go, same thing, honeycomb, princess, and drone. Now this is a meadows hive, so the bees are going to look a little bit different, but they're always going to drop a princess. And they have a chance of dropping other things. And it's going to be random a lot of times. And we didn't get any of the random bees. You might see like a valiant bee pop out of here, and that's just a random bee that you can get that can be bred into something else. And you'll find those as you go in your travels, but we're not really going to worry about those too much right now. So we have a bunch of bees here. They say forest drone, they say unknown genome below, and what in the world do we do with these bees? Well, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start getting more bees from the bees that you already have. And the only way to do that at the start is to make a bee house. And this is assuming that you really have nothing. So let's check what a bee house is. It's a honeycomb, some oak wood, and some oak wood planks. And we found ourselves a honeycomb, so we would be able to make one of these. And maybe we can make a couple of them, actually. Let's see. I'm missing some wooden planks here. Let me grab some of those. There we go. Let's take some of these bee houses out. We'll take a couple of them. And once you have the bee houses, you can place them down in the world, just about anywhere. It depends on what bee you're going to put in them, but we definitely want to have a clear path to the sky, because most of the bees that we're going to be playing with at the beginning are going to need a clear path to the sky. Now we have our bee house. What in the world is inside of here? Well, on the left here we have a spot for the princess and a spot for a drone, and here we have a life bar. At first that'll be the breeding process, and then it'll turn into the lifespan of the queen. Over here we have where we get all the byproducts of what the bees can create, whether it be drones, specialties, or combs, and we'll get into that in a minute. The first and most important thing you're not going to want to do is you're not going to want to breed two different kinds of bees together. That is bad. We want to know kind of bees we have, what kind of traits they have, before we start smashing them together. And that's going to be in episode 2, where we learn about crossbreeding. So let's take a Meadows Princess, put it up top there, and let's take a Meadows Drone. This is the breeding bar, and once they have bred together, this one's going to disappear, and this is going to become a queen. Now, when you get these, you might see some of them popping around in your inventory because you're an irresponsible breeder, and you don't know how you get a queen when you have all these other princesses. Well, this is just a princess that is already mated with a drone, and it's going to stay a queen until you put it back in here. So the lifespan is going to be there, and you can transfer these from one place to another without having to rebreed or anything like that, so don't worry. But that's going to make your queen. And this is going to slowly go down, and these bee houses take 3 times as long as the apiary, which we're going to learn how to make in this episode. So it's not really the ideal way to breed up these bees. And the bee houses also have some other negative downsides, and one of those is that you can't attach pipes to them and you can't automate them, and you're not supposed to be able to crossbreed inside of these, but I think I've done it a few times, and I know some people who have. So we'll leave that alone and call that a bug. So this is going to take a while for these bees to breed up, but what's our next step? Well, it's probably good to have as many bee houses or apiaries as you have princesses just to start off, so you can get lots and lots of bees, because we're going to absolutely need them a little bit later on. So what are the next steps in the bee breeding process? Well, for starters, we have a problem right off the bat. And if you check inside your bee house, you'll notice that the bee bar hasn't moved at all yet, and that's because something is wrong. And this little indicator up here will always tell you if there's something wrong. And right now it's saying there are no flowers. It's got a little picture of a flower there. And if we open it up here, it says hive members are not finding the right flowers. Now, since we're just beginners at this, we really don't know what kind of flowers that these bees need. And so I'm going to tell you what these need, and maybe you can guess on what some of the other bees need. So I'm going to drop a flower here, and if I pull her out and put her back in, it's going to reset this, and everything's going to be happy. She's going to find some flowers. Look at that. The bees are popping out of this thing left and right, and everybody's good to go. And now the breeding process has started, and in the end, it's going to result in hopefully some drones, some honeycombs, and that's about all that we can get from these bees. Now there's going to be other problems that come along here. For instance, a lot of bees can't work at night, and it's going to say that they cannot breed because it's dark outside, or their view is obstructed from the top, and I can kind of do that right quick for you just to show you what it looks like. Let's see. It should get angry here in a minute. Maybe these bees don't actually care, although I find that really hard to believe, or that could be a wacky upside to bee houses. Anyways, that's where all the problems are going to occur, and they're going to show up top there. That's kind of weird. Maybe that's a benefit of bee houses that I just learned about. Anyways, all right, so we got our bees. They're running through these bee houses. What do we need from these bees? Well, we basically need honeycombs and the byproducts that the bees make to start out with. And once we get some of these going here, we're going to pull out some honeycombs and we're going to do some stuff with them. But first of all, let's take a look at how these bees behave inside your inventory, because these things are going to take up a lot of room, and they're going to fill up your space really quickly. So let's go ahead and make some ways to store our bees. The first thing we're going to make is what's called an Apiarist chest. And if we click here, you see the pattern, some honeycombs, a chest, and a piece of glass. And we'll take one of those out of here, and we'll put it on the ground. If you open up the chest here, you can see that I've already done some playing around on this server, and it tells you how many species you have discovered. It tells you how many queens you have, how many princesses, and how many drones. And there's 5 pages listed in this chest here. Even though there's nothing in it, it will still tell you all the progress that you've attained up into this point. And we can store our bees in here, and once we learn a little bit more about the bees, which again I've already been playing around, so we can see some of the question marks are uncovered. Once we learn a little bit more about them, it'll be able to tell us where they came from and kind of where they're going. So this has got 5 pages, 125 slots to store all your bees. Now, only bees that have the exact same traits will stack, and those are called purebred bees. In most cases, there are different variations of purebred bees. You could have different purebreds that don't stack, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But for now, you're probably going to fill up your inventory with a lot of different bees that you really don't have the space for, especially if you're just starting out. So the Apiarist chest is a really good way to keep these things all organized and all together. And you actually have to organize them yourself, which is horrific, We'll talk about a better way to store bees later. Let's also take a look at the Apiarist Backpack, and that's made by putting an Apiarist chest in the middle slot here of the 9-slot shapeless crafting grid with a stick, some string, and some wool, and we'll take out this Apiarist Backpack. Now there's a lot of benefits to the Apiarist Backpack. First of all, it's portable, so you can take this anywhere you want. It's basically the exact same thing as the Apiarist chest, and you can right-click it and you can open it up, and it will give you all the same information, and you'll have all 5 slots of available space. But this backpack has a few neat features. First of all, let's say we have these bees and we're in the wild and we're scooping up our hives and we put them like that and we have our backpack on us. If we walk over these bees, they automatically go into the Apiarist backpack. And that's pretty cool. And that will save you from either losing bees behind because you think you got them all, or saving you from the hassle of opening up this bag and manually putting all your bees in there, as if that's a lot of work to begin with, but hey. This backpack also has some other features. If you sneak or shift to right click, it's going to lock the backpack. And so, if I take my bees out of here while it's locked, throw them back in the ground, and walk over them, you can see that they pop right into my inventory. So a locked bag means that no bees can enter the bag. So if you've packed it just right and all your clothes are folded nicely in there, all your bees are happy, and you don't want them to be messed up, you can lock the backpack. And you can manually put them in wherever you want. The Apiarist Backpack has more features yet to come. It has receiving mode, and you can see it says that at the bottom of the screen there. So if you shift right click on your Apiarist chest, you can see they're all on. Oh, hold on. Let's take them out of the bag. We'll shift right click on the Apiarist chest, just like that. We'll open up our bag, and all the bees have gone right into the chest, and that's pretty cool. And you can also do it, you can put it in some resupply mode, and if you shift right click your Apiarist chest, oh, it's got to have some bees in it. Shift right click. It's going to empty out your bag and put them all inside of here. So this is a pretty neat way to carry around your bees and to store them in a way that doesn't take up too much space. So let's talk about some of the things that we're going to need to process this honey. And you're going to need MJ or Buildcraft Power to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some redstone energy cells. And we'll drop those in the ground here. And we are going to need 3 machines. Now these are the real basics of bee breeding, and they're not too hard to make. We're going to need a squeezer, a centrifuge, and a carpenter. Let's start out with the centrifuge because this one's pretty neat. We have some copper, and you're going to need a sturdy casing. So copper, glass, and a sturdy casing. And to make a sturdy casing, it's just a bunch of bronze in a pattern like this. So I'm going to make a little bit of room for my sturdy casing. I'm just going to pull one out, put it back in here, and then we'll click on this is a work table, by the way, our centrifuge. We're going to take out a centrifuge, and we're going to go ahead and put it down on a power source. Now your power source may not be this powerful to start, but this is just for demonstration purposes only. Alright, let's go ahead in our chest and we're going to grab some honeycombs out, and let's see what this centrifuge does. If we put a honeycomb in here, what's going to happen is this is going to go up, and what's just kind of going to get all the products out of this honeycomb. It's going to extract the honey, and it's going to extract the beeswax. Honey is the more important of the two, but beeswax is also used for some cool stuff. So let's centrifuge all 28 of these. And in the meantime, let's see what we can do with this honey and this beeswax. Well, the beeswax is fairly unique because you can actually use this for 3 different things that you may not have thought that you could use them for. The first one is that you can use it for pipe waterproof. 1 beeswax equals a pipe waterproof. It'll save you the trouble of going out and getting cactus. 3 beeswax in a row like this will give you 4 wax capsules. And where's that last one? Beeswax and string will make candles for you. That's a cool one. And you can actually make, I know you can make torches, I think, somehow with those. That's okay. Honey's the more important one. So let's pull this stuff out and let's get this honey. And you're going to want as much honey as you can possibly get your hands on to start. Next in the lineup, we have, let's see what else we have in here. We have a squeezer. Let's go ahead and make a squeezer. I think it's missing something. Sturdy casing. Let's make a sturdy casing, put it back in there. We'll make a couple of them. Go back to the squeezer. Okay, let's drop the squeezer, see what the squeezer does. Again, it needs power, buildcraft power. Just be aware of that. All right, the squeezer can do a couple different things for us. What you're probably going to use at first are seeds, because one of the main ingredients to the whole bee breeding process is seed oil. So if you put some seeds in here, this squeezer is going to start squeezing these. It's going to start filling up the seed oil container, and we're going to be able to use this seed oil in something else. And that something else is called the Carpenter. Now, the Carpenter is, I'm going to recommend that you build 3 Carpenters right off the bat. And maybe others wouldn't, but I will, just because there's 3 different liquids that you can put into these Carpenters, and it's really bad to have to keep breaking and moving the Carpenters around. So some bronze, a sturdy casing, and some glass, and we have our Carpenter. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and make 1 Carpenter. But if we drop this down, this is still squeezing up, this is going to take a while. If you breed trees, or if you have crossbred trees, you will know that walnuts give you the highest amount, or the most seed oil per squeeze. And you see we've got it a little bit there. I'm just going to throw some walnuts in to make that a little bit faster. Next we have the Carpenter here, and the Carpenter is going to be used to actually make our apiary, which is the very next step and the last thing that we're going to go over in this episode here. So, how do we make an apiary? Well, let's go into our work table here and find out that, oh, I don't have an apiary set up. Let's see. Here we go, an apiary. The next step is going to require some wood slabs, some wood planks, and it's going to require this impregnated casing. Now, this is the tough part because we don't know how to make this yet. So let's see how. Well, here we go. We need this Carpenter, and we're going to need seed oil or creosote oil. So it doesn't have to be seed oil, but we're just going to go with seed oil just because that's what we're going to be sticking with throughout this entire tutorial series. But just bear in mind that this is an option as well. So this is going to ask for some straight wood inside a Carpenter in a pattern like this with a little bit of seed oil, and that's going to make our impregnated casing for us. So let's go ahead and, first of all, let's drop down a crafting table. Probably should have had that prepared. We'll make it daytime so the bees can still work. Let's make some wax capsules because we know how to make those. Let's go over to our squeezer. We'll put the wax capsules right there. It's going to fill up. It's going to get me a 1 wax capsule full of seed oil. And let's go ahead and put that inside the Carpenter. It's going to empty out, drop right in there. We're going to take our oak wood slab and put it in the pattern that we know makes the impregnated casing. And these actually are just placeholder blocks. They don't exist, so we're going to have to put some oak wood in the bottom. And we're going to start making our first impregnated casing so we can make our first apiary. Let's wait till this finishes up here. Alright, awesome. We have an impregnated casing. And this seed oil goes a long way, so I'll let it make a few more because we're going to want a few more apiaries, and we're going to mainly want to replace all of the bee houses that we have. So let's take a look at how to make the apiary. We're going to need some planks. Let's search for the wrong thing. We'll use some slab. I don't think it matters what kind of wood we use. We're going to need some wood slabs on the top. And I'm going to run out. Crap. Run out of wood planks. There we go. Let's put some slabs up top here. And let's put our impregnated casing right in the middle. And there we go. We have our very first apiary. Okay, so we're going to drop that down over here. We got our bees. They're working hard. You can see the colors kind of match. The forest matches their little colored bee. The meadows matches theirs. We're going to drop down this apiary. We're going to take a look at what's inside of it. We're going to see what the results of our breeding are. And then we're going to end the episode. And then we're going to pick up from the apiary on and crossbreeding. So let's take a look at how this differs. Right off the bat, you can see that it has 3 extra slots that the bee house does not. And basically, the main similarity is that you can just, or the main difference between the two is that you can put frames in here. And we're not really going to talk about frames right now. We'll talk about them in the next episode and what they do. But this has 3 slots for frames. This slot over here is the same. You put your princess up here. You put your queen down there. And we can even go ahead and grab, let's say, a forest queen and a forest drone. Let's put them in there. You can shift click them. It's going to breed up. And this is going to go actually way faster than these. It's going to go 3 times as fast because these are 3 times as slow. And this is going to breed up and it's going to give us some results. But it's not going to give us as many honeycombs as these because the bee houses actually have a higher pollination effect. And again, we'll go into that just a little bit later. So, in review, what have we talked about? Let's go inside the bee castle and find out. I have a lot of stuff set up here and you can see we're going to get real deep into this. We've talked about the scoop, the bee houses, mundane bees, which basically are any bees found naturally in the wild, just like we discussed, all those honeycombs, all those hives out there. Honeycombs, which I have a capital O for some reason, those will get us the byproducts and the real juicy, meaty stuff that we're going to get from the really awesome bees later on. We've talked about bee storage, the Apiarist Chess and the Apiarist Backpack. We've talked about the Centrifuge, Squeezer, and Carpenter, and the awesome things that they can do. And we've gone from our very first bee house to our very first apiary. And here I have a little automated setup with some tesseracts and stuff that you can do. We'll talk about frames next time. We'll talk about crossbreeding next time. A lot of cool stuff coming. I'll be right back. We're going to show you the results of this breeding, and then I am going to sign off. All right, let's take a look at what we got here. All right, we got a Meadows Princess and 2 Meadows Drones and 3 honeycombs, so that's pretty cool. Next, we have, well, just 1 honeycomb, a Forest Princess, a Forest Drone, and 2 more Forest Drone, and these don't stack because they must have differing traits. And from our apiary, we have a Forest Drone, and 3 Forest Drones, and 1 Forest Princess, and we have a honeycomb. Thanks for watching episode 1, guys. Make sure you stay tuned. There's going to be about 6 episodes, maybe a little bit more, and we're going to definitely go over some awesome, really in-depth stuff. So I hope you stay tuned, and I hope you keep watching. Make sure you check out all of our social media outlets on the screen here. And as always, guys, make sure to stay poised.